Hello everyone, I'm Tracy and thank you for tuning in today. So in today's video, I want to share some emails that I've gotten over the past couple months from you guys. I have a lot of viewers and subscribers who are very knowledgeable, much smarter and more just more knowledgeable than I am. And so thank you guys for sharing your expertise and your thoughts with me. And these, some of this material I'm just simply not going to be able to confirm for sure, but these are topics and ideas, insights that I think are or to me very thought-provoking and made me look at things a little differently. And so I thought they would be worth sharing with you guys. So I'll put pictures and videos where I have them and links to some of the videos that were shared with me. But before we get to that, I want to announce the sponsor of this video. This is the very first sponsored video I've ever done, and the company is Temu. And when they approached me, it was a really good timing because I was planning to put an order in anyways. A couple of family members and friends suggested that I order from them because they were getting good products for a lot less than you would normally buy here in the US. So I think most parts of the world, especially if you're in the US, the cost of everyday things has gone up significantly, with a lot of things like up to 20% more than what we used to pay just a few years ago. So things like this sweater, I've been looking for tops, and this is what I wanted to order from them. And it's a really nice sweater. It's comfortable, it doesn't smell bad, it looks nice. They happen to fit perfectly. I got size medium, so if anything, maybe the clothes run a tad bit small, but so I really like the clothing I got. And another thing that I randomly picked out, and I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I do, is this shelf here. And I put my makeup brushes and my makeup on it. It allows me to move a lot of my things from my desk. So behind here is my desk or my vanity area, and it's not a lot of space. So by having this, I can get all that stuff out of the way. I also really like the chip clips, the clips to close your bags for the kitchen. Very inexpensive, very high quality. They're like heavy material. They have a magnet on the back, and they clasp very well. Their shipping is free to most countries in the world: the US, Canada, Western Europe, Japan, and Korea, the UK. So yeah, it's free shipping. After $129, it's free express shipping, so you'll get your items a little faster. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by the quality of the products considering how much I paid for them. So that's really the main thing I wanted to share with you guys. It worked out really well, so thank you, Temu, for sponsoring my very first video. And so yeah, let's get on with the emails. Okay, so the first one, this is from Norm from Alaska, and he's been sending me a lot of really great information. Good morning, Tracy. Thank you for continuing to bring attention to Maui. You know you're getting traction when you get demonetized and TikTok users use your stuff without attribution. And he sent me a link to a TikTok channel that used my videos. Anyhow, a friend of mine linked that to me, and he used to live on Front Street. Now his apartment is gone. I took a look at the Pentecostal church in satellite view and did not see anything obvious on the roof, but I did notice that there are railroad tracks across the highway. Follow them north and you'll find warped rails. Very odd. How do burning trees nearby and minor ground vegetation warp heavy steel rails? Along the length of the track, much unusual staining. Once again, metal seems to be the source of great heat rather than the victim of great heat. So that really caught my attention, because it made allowed me to make sense of certain things that I've been noticing. One being the Pentecostal church. So if you haven't seen the video about the damage, I called it Unusual Damage to the Pentecostal Church. You'll see that the church was not burnt, but the roof, it has like a sever across the church, and then it caved in, but the inside was not burned. So after reading this, it kind of got me thinking that if there was maybe a metal beam or electrical wiring, some kind of metal material that was going across the roof, that could have been conducting heat to the point where it damaged the surrounding material and caused the roof to cave in. I think that was a mistake. I don't think that damage was intentionally done, but looking at it this way, it just does make sense that the metal is the one that conducted the heat at first. So another thing that he brought up that I thought was really interesting, another random theory that occurred to me after watching your video on the 18 police calls to the electrical utility. Perhaps the 18 calls were made because the power lines were seemingly energized at the time, not by utility, but by whatever weapon was used on Lahaina. I am finding many examples of locations where fires seem to have started along the line of metal fences with no nearby upwind burned area, metal cars completely incinerated, and also power lines on the ground strangely melted without anything around them being burnt. The same effect would work on home and businesses with structure electrical wiring. This puts the police in an awkward position. The utility alibi seems ironclad with real-time records of having them shut down the power 6 hours before, or whatever timeline was given. But police officers reported fires starting because of downed power lines and directing people away and back into active fire zones. To acknowledge the behavior of the mysteriously energized power lines as a reason for misguided police barricades is to acknowledge that something more than a wildfire was going on here. I suspect we're going to see well-meaning police on the ground blamed and punished for gross incompetence or scapegoats, while the few people in the know continue to shield everyone from the truth. A bit of evidence that may be available to find: records of electrical current originating in isolated and de-energized parts of the electrical utilities distribution system. These ghost currents can be transmitted to the wires from whatever D.E.W was operating in the area. So that's a very interesting way to look at it. So if you didn't see the video on the calls made between Maui Police Department and HECO, or the Hawaiian Electric Company, there were 18 made, and during that time, HECO consistently told the police officers that the lines were de-energized, so there was no power going through them. But from the beginning, I did think 18 calls was excessive. It just doesn't seem like they would need to call that many times to get the same answer. Maybe they were seeing signs of power, through those down electrical lines, and so that's why they continuously called. But I don't know until someone comes forward. We might never know for sure. But I thought that was a very a different way of looking at it. And okay, this one is interesting, and I do believe that this is true. Hi Tracy, I was watching this and thought you might want to see it and possibly share part of it. This interview is with a man whose company responds to all types of emergencies. They're called Strategic Response Partners, including wildfires, earthquakes, hurricanes, floods, riots, power outages, etc. They are all professionals, former firefighters, EMT, military, electrical. They understand every aspect of what happens and what needs to be done to help and protect the people in emergencies of any kind.
We were the day there, the day after there, we showed up at the EOC, we showed our credentials, here's the power we have, cabling, electricians, all the areas that we can provide and assist them with. And it was the first time I actually got a strong arm that said, no, we got this handled. And I was like, you know what, with all due respect, you don't have it handled. Looking around your yard and how it's set up, There's no way that you have the equipment, manpower, or resources to respond to that burn zone, having worked wildfires my entire life.
One of his major concerns is the horrific toxic chemicals that are similar to those released on the attack on the towers in New York. I don't think I can even see those numbers. Anyways, those released on that date due to the degree of heat and massive scale of miles of toxic materials. He actually uses the word cover up regarding the nature of toxic chemicals and the government and FEMA response and handling. She thinks this is one of the most critical pieces of info that people should know, and I hope you find it helpful. So yeah, that's the part I wanted to share. And I totally believe that these things happened. I earlier on in my reporting, I spoke to a fire captain who is in California. When he heard about this horrible fire and this large-scale tragedy, he actually reported to his station expecting to be flown out to Maui to help, because that's normally how things happened. In other fires and other disasters, he's been dispatched to other states and other countries to help out, and they were never called. And from what I can tell, these type of agencies were not called. I totally believe this happened, and I do believe it's part of the cover-up. So I thought that was interesting. Okay, and then this one, I'll say this one came from BB. Hi there, Tracy. I'm just a viewer of your channel. I just watched the recent video with all the new satellite imagery, and I believe that was the one with the I forgot, sorry, but I do believe DEWs were used, but I'm not sure from who. You mentioned in your video it's our own U.S. military, but what about China? I say China because in another video I've seen claiming that there are satellites over multiple fires during the time. There were satellites over multiple fires during the time of them. The guy claiming this also has a website, and the information is all on there too. His name is Steve Favis. I'll put his website and the video link down below. I'm honestly not sure what to make of the claims in the video or his website, but I was convinced at first. We all know what kind of technology we possess in the U.S. and on Hawaii. Either way, I really appreciate what you and others have been compiling and working on together. Thought the whole DEW stuff was something maybe we'd be able to do in the future, but controlling and or manipulating weather on Earth was something I thought I'd never see we'd be able to do, at least not in my lifetime. But we can and do. Thank you for your dedication to this story. The truth needs to come out. So I did watch this video, and it is very compelling, and there very well might be these CCP satellites going over Maui and going over the Hawaiian Islands. But I did notice some inconsistencies with the timing that he brings up. He says the Kula fire was started at 11:30 in the morning on the 8th. I know for a fact it started way earlier than that. I have a video about a property, Dave's property, that was burnt in Kula, and I have pictures of it on fire, videos of it on fire, and it was happening very early in the morning before the sun came out, and he was evacuated before then. He said very early in the morning, before like 5 in the morning. So I know for a fact that that fire started much earlier. And then he does mention that the Lahaina fire started around 6 a.m. I don't think it happened that early. I think it happened later because it really started going in the afternoon and was, really strong in the later afternoon, early evening. At 5:45 is when people were reported to be jumping in the water from Front Street. So I don't think the Lahaina fire started that early. I think it started later, but it could have been like a little spark or something, or maybe like a smaller fire. But I did notice the inconsistencies of the timing that were mentioned in this video. So I just want to preface it with that. I think it's an interesting way of looking at it, but I do not think that is how the fire, I don't think that's the origin of the fire. But it is interesting and worth bringing up. These were emails with ideas that I thought were very thought-provoking, and I thought maybe you guys would want to hear. So if you guys have any comments on these topics, please leave them down in the comments. And if you like this type of video, I'm more than happy to do more. So thank you for everyone who sent their thoughts and opinions through email. And I try to read them all. At this point, I probably can't. I mean, I can, but it is becoming, the amount of emails I'm getting now is much more than I was, but I do attempt to get through everything and respond very thoughtfully when I can, when I have something to say. But yeah, that's what's been going on, you know, like behind the scenes. But I'm very fortunate to have all of these very intelligent people sending me information and referring me to things. So thank you for everyone who did that. And that's going to do it for today. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.